I was at my friend's house for a sleepover on a chilly evening. As always, her parents exuded hospitality, greeting me with warm smiles and inviting me into their home. The aroma of dinner cooking in the kitchen filled the air. My friend's mother, a gourmet chef, had prepared a mouth-watering shepherd's pie for us. While I typically wasn't a fan of lamb, that night it tasted exceptional. The savory flavors seemed to melt in my mouth, and I couldn't resist having seconds. We sat at the dinner table, savoring a meal filled with laughter and joyful conversation. After our delectable dinner, we decided to watch a scary movie, a choice I reluctantly accepted. Horror films weren't my cup of tea, but I didn't want to appear like a coward in front of my friend. We huddled together on the couch, fingers intertwined and knees drawn up to our chests. I watched the entire movie, my heart racing and my half-open eyes glued to the screen. When the movie ended, we headed to her bedroom to sleep. She graciously offered her bed, but I preferred the floor. I liked to sleep on the floor, and the little pad beside her bed was ideal for me. Each of us was hoping to drift into a peaceful slumber. Initially, we both tossed and turned, the remnants of the movie still lingering in my mind, but eventually, she fell asleep. Her steady breathing lulled me into a more relaxed state, and I was on the verge of sleep. I lay on my back, listening to the quiet of the night, with only the sounds of her deep breaths breaking the silence. The room was mostly enveloped in darkness, with the only light coming from a dim street lamp outside the window. I couldn't shake the eerie feeling the movie had left me with, so I turned on my side, facing the bed. My heart rate slowed, and my mind calmed as I lay on my side, listening to the wave-like rhythm of my friend's deep breathing. Entranced by the lullaby, something seemed amiss. Perhaps it was my mind playing tricks on me as I drifted into slumber, but my friend's breathing, slow and labored, sounded like it was originating from beneath the bed. I lay there, pondering how the sound I heard could be disconnected from its source, when the peculiar sound of something sliding across the rug at the foot of the bed crept into my consciousness. I cautiously opened my bottom eye to investigate. Panic surged through me as I saw the faint shadow of someone standing at the foot of my friend's bed. Forced myself to remain perfectly still, pretending to be asleep, but my stomach churned with sickness. It became apparent that this man, this intruder, was the source of the eerie, labored breathing. I lay there for what felt like an eternity, my heart pounding in my chest. Through the periphery of my half-opened eye, I could see this sinister figure tiptoeing towards the head of the bed. He reached out and stroked my friend's hair, an unsettling blend of fascination and malevolence emanating from his presence. I dared not move, even as fear threatened to consume me. The intruder continued to watch my friend for what felt like hours, and I remained paralyzed by fear. Eventually, he silently slipped out of the room, disappearing into the silent house. I waited in absolute stillness, unable to summon the courage to wake my friend or make even the slightest of movements. As the first rays of morning sunlight gently seeped through the curtains, my friend stirred and awoke, her eyes blinking open to the dawning day. I wasted no time and immediately whispered to her, recounting the chilling events that had unfolded during the night. Shocked and visibly concerned, she listened intently to my account. Without hesitation, she relayed the disturbing story to her parents, who, equally concerned, sprang into action. They didn't waste a moment and promptly dialed the local police. Within an hour, the authorities arrived. The police officers conducted a thorough search of the house, but to our dismay, they couldn't find any trace of the mysterious intruder inside. Their furrowed brows and shared glances indicated their growing perplexity, which only added to our sense of unease. Determined to unravel the mystery that had unfolded within my friend's home, the police officers extended their search to the woods surrounding the house. Amid the dense foliage, their diligent efforts led to a discovery: a dirty and disheveled tent tucked away in a concealed spot. The tent was filled with clothing, personal belongings, and various items that unmistakably belonged to my friend. It was a chilling sight, confirming the intruder's unsettling connection to her. However, despite this startling revelation, there was no sign of the tent's owner. The mystery deepened, leaving us with unanswered questions that cast a long, unsettling shadow over my friend and her family. Fortunately, there were no further occurrences at that house, but the memory of that night continues to haunt me. The evening was set for my daughter's sleepover with 4 of her closest friends. They were excited, chatting and giggling as they set up camp in the basement. This was the perfect opportunity for a little prank, something fun and memorable. I had an idea in mind that I was sure would make them laugh, even if it startled them at first. As the girls settled in downstairs, their snacks and movies ready, I quietly slipped out the front door and made my way down to the basement, wearing a spooky mask and tattered clothing. The light in the basement concealed my presence outside, and my heart raced with excitement. I knew I had to time this just right. Peering through the small basement window, I saw the girls gathered around the snack bar, munching on popcorn and laughing about something. I couldn't help but smile to myself under the mask, knowing that their reaction would be priceless. I readied myself to execute my plan at the window near the corner of the basement. My heart pounded, and I tapped lightly on the glass. The girls were oblivious, their laughter and chatter drowning out any noise from outside. I tapped harder, but still, they didn't hear. My determination to give them a good scare pushed me to beat on the window with greater force. This time, the laughter and conversation dwindled, and the girls turned their attention toward the strange noise. I continued to pound on the glass, the excitement building inside me. Suddenly, the group noticed me outside the window, and their collective screams filled the air. In their panic, they scattered in every direction. Some rushed upstairs, while others bolted into the bedroom and the TV room. I was quite pleased with the success of my prank. However, in my excitement, I hadn't realized just how forcefully I was hitting the window. As the glass shattered, I kept swinging my arms, and the jagged shards of the remaining window pierced into my forearms, causing immediate pain and confusion. I looked down at the blood flowing from my arms, and the reality of the situation set in. I needed to get back upstairs to tend to my injuries. Feeling lightheaded, I stumbled back to the front door. I collapsed in the doorway, weak from the blood loss and the shock of what had just happened. My wife, alerted by the commotion, came rushing downstairs and found me in a pool of blood. She acted quickly, grabbing towels and applying pressure to my wounds. Her swift response likely saved me. She then rushed me to the hospital, where I received medical attention and made a full recovery. Though my prank had gone awry, it was a night none of us would ever forget, and it served as a reminder to think twice before attempting such antics in the future. The night was planned with the kind of excitement only middle school-aged teenagers can muster. My group of friends and I had this whole scheme, a coordinated sleepover plan. We planned out who was to be at whose house, so that we all could sneak out and meet up, exploring the mysteries of the night, doing something risky, though we weren't entirely sure what that risky something was. The mastermind behind our night of adventure suggested that we roll our other friend's house. This particular friend had opted not to join our escapade that evening, so we thought it would be amusing to surprise him with a house wrapped in toilet paper. With the plan set, we headed to a local gas station to purchase a hefty amount of toilet paper rolls. As we approached the cashier, who gave us a dubious look, one of our group members chimed in, saying we were preparing for a feast of tacos from hell and would need all the toilet paper we could get. We all chuckled as we left the store. Our journey took us through several neighborhoods, and the path we followed was anything but straightforward. We began in one neighborhood, which was familiar to us, and then moved through a dirt path that led to the next neighborhood. This path reduced our travel time by over an hour and reduced our exposure to potential drivers. As we made our way to the second neighborhood, we continued to share stories about our classmates, playing games and discussing how our friend who had declined our wild adventure would regret not joining us. By the time we crossed the bridge into the third neighborhood and began our ascent up the hill, we were deep into our laughter and chatter. It was then that we heard the sound of a heavy vehicle and the low rumble of a truck's engine combined with the glare of headlights that pierced the night from the path ahead. Instinctively, we dove into the cover of trees and bushes on the roadside, all except for our most studious friend, who stood frozen in the truck's headlights. With a nervous smile and wave, she greeted the passing truck, which slowed enough for its brake lights to shine on our group. Then, reverse lights appeared on the truck. Someone shouted, "Run!" and we bolted up the hill, gasping for breath. The truck performed a quick three-point turn and roared up the hill and swerved in my direction, narrowly missing me as we scrambled into the woods. We decided it was time to abandon our plan of rolling our friend's house and head back the way we came, each of us returning to our own homes. However, the truck's engine grew louder, and its headlights illuminated us once more. We darted back into the woods, attempting to make our way down the hill from whence we came to recross the bridge. We knew that once we reached the first neighborhood, we'd be close to safety, and the truck wouldn't dare venture onto the trail. As we moved through people's yards and wooded paths, we'd sometimes lose our way because we'd never traveled this path at night. The light of the moon made it challenging to discern familiar landmarks. Our footsteps echoed through the quiet streets, and the rustling of leaves in the darkness added an unsettling ambiance to our escape. Each time we emerged onto the road, the truck seemed to find us, its headlights piercing through the veil of night. The driver's intent became more evident with every encounter. The truck would swerve dangerously close to us, the roar of its engine serving as a soundtrack to our fear. We'd scatter in every direction, stumbling through the mud, our shoes and clothing becoming caked with filth. I could feel numbness creeping into their legs, a result of the adrenaline coursing through my body and the relentless running. I knew that I was not the only one feeling this way, and the thought of surviving through the night pushed us onward. As we sprinted through the dark, the threat of the truck only intensified. It swerved aggressively, at times narrowly missing members of our group. Desperation guided our actions as we navigated the pursuit. Somewhere on the journey home, I realized that I had gone through a thorn bush, leaving a bloody wet spot on my shirt, but it was a small price to pay for escape. Eventually, we found the trail again, and our spirits lifted. We thought we had distanced ourselves from the truck, but its headlights still followed, a short distance behind. We slowed our pace, thinking we were safe, only to hear the truck slow down and come to a stop at the trail entrance. With tension gripping our group, we sprinted forward once more, determined to reach safety. We heard the truck struggling as it tried to navigate the trail, tires getting stuck in the mud. Our adrenaline surged, and we didn't stop to watch. We all dispersed towards our respective houses, leaving the truck stuck in the mud as we made it safely home, cover it in mud, cuts, and dirt. We were safe, but the memory of that truck would linger in our minds for years to come.